Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. I'm here in Bradenton, Florida at IMG Academy. Just got done watching the UA Future 50, featuring a number of top 2027 recruits. They had 2 sessions. In the morning, they did a camp with drills, position drills, simple breakdowns, a lot of good one-on-one action there. And then in the evening session, they broke down into 2 teams, a 7-on-7 game, an all-star game, as you will. And it was great watching these guys play, perform. And also, I talked to a lot of different guys as well. So definitely check out the website. I'm gonna have a lot of interviews from today's event. There are a lot of different guys from all over the country here, but I want to start with the 3 guys from South Florida. From St. Thomas Aquinas, wide receiver Julius Jones. It starts with him because he earned MVP of the game. It was a 41-39 win for his team there, overtime win. He had 4 touchdowns all in the second half. It was great watching him, and it was fun because I talked to him after the morning session. I was impressed by him. He's a guy that's always impressed me. It's not just his ability on the field. I really like what he's able to do in and out of breaks, smaller receiver, but able to get open. I like his explosiveness, his quickness, but just a pro, talking to him. He's just one of these guys that's super sharp, really gets it, has that edge that you like. And he came out in the morning and he felt like he had something to prove, with where he's ranked. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury, so he feels like his rating has dropped. He pays attention to it. And one thing he wanted to do was come out and make a big impact. And I thought he did that in the morning session. But then to do what he did at night, I had to catch up with him afterwards, just a couple questions about what he was able to do. It was really impressive. Again, the 4 touchdowns right here, all coming in the end zone, big plays. He had the big one to win it for his team there in overtime as well. So just all around a really good performance for him. I think he's definitely going to use this performance involved into a big junior year for Aquinas, and they know they've got a big schedule coming up, a lot of big time teams that they're going to play, and Mark Matthews was certainly excited about that, as well as Zayden Gamble, the offensive lineman, and Mark Matthews, highly regarded guy, very energetic, high personality guy, really likes Miami. All these guys said positive things about Miami, all 3 of these guys. Zayden was saying, KB was the guy that talks to him quite a bit, and they do a good job, and he wants to come see Miami, and all 3 of them do. All 3 of them want to come to games, so look for them at Miami games this season. Going back to Matthews as a player, though, watching him in some one-on-one drills, I didn't get a chance to watch him nearly as much as I would have liked because I was on the other end of the field, actually right here where I'm standing right now in the morning session. That's where the defensive line and offensive line were going at it, and I was at the other end of the field watching the one-on-ones between the receivers and DBs, plenty of video from that. I just can't be at everywhere I want to be. So I missed out, which I would have liked to have seen him, but I did watch him go through drills, and that was great. And I did see him go through some one-on-ones as well, just not as much as I would have liked. And the big man challenge, while the teams were doing the 7-on-7 game at night, at halftime, they typically do this. The big man have their competition. And, I thought Matthews was good playing the left tackle spot. He said he kind of moved around a little bit in the morning session with different spots, and he's taken that really personal. I had a VIP article on the website that he's a guy that wants to play different spots because he wants to play early. That stood out to me with what he's looking at in a college. He wants to play early. That's important to him. So pay attention to that with his recruitment these next couple of years and see how things kind of transpire with him. But he did good initially in the big man challenge, and then he got rocked a little bit, got sent back on his behind there, and I just never did recover. He had a bad rep after that and didn't come through. But the guy that won the challenge, Maxwell Hiller, is another offensive lineman that wanted to come out here and make a difference and prove himself. Had a chance to talk with him as well. And both Matthews and Hiller are 2 highly regarded guys that are paying attention to what Miami's doing. Not just with Mario Cristobal, head coach, and Alex Mirabal as the offensive line coach. We hear about that all the time. But they're paying a close attention to the recruits. They are very well aware of Jackson Cantwell's commitment to Miami. I think that's one thing that maybe can get overlooked in a situation like this, but everybody's paying attention to those top guys and where they end up. So I think that's a huge plus, not just for Miami gaining a guy like Cantwell, but the impact that it can help with recruits moving forward. Speaking of offensive linemen, Miami offensive lineman Francis Marino was out here He was helping with the camp. He was an Under Armour participant at this event when he was in high school and did great. So they welcomed him back, and he spoke to the players. He also did some coaching on the offensive line. Had a chance to talk with him a little bit. He's certainly excited about the season. Says summer workouts are going well, so that's good to hear. And again, he just was glad to be up here for this, and they were glad to have him. So it was good seeing him, and certainly the players, like Mark Matthews said, Francis is a legend, so to hear that from a recruit just shows you the impact that these high-level guys can have on younger players. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. There were two guys that certainly stood out to me in terms of Miami's perspective. There were 4 quarterbacks total, but number 1 quarterback in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, Elijah Havlin, and he said at Media Day that Miami is the school that he hasn't been to, that he wants to get to. So naturally, I asked him afterwards today, and he was great in the game here. Really good performance, 10 for 11, the 5 touchdown passes, 161 yards, a really impressive performance. Essentially, anytime he got it, he moved down the field and his team scored, and he wasn't able to get the 2-point conversion, and his team lost, unfortunately. But again, going back to Miami, what he said was the reason why that he wants to check out Miami is he feels like he owes it to them because they were so early on his recruitment, and he just wants to come down and see Miami. He doesn't have any plans to do that, doesn't know if it'll happen this season, but he did say something positive about Miami, and I thought that was great, and it was good talking to him. Again, I'll have an article on him and kind of his thoughts more about Miami. Cam Ward, obviously with the quarterback situation, and he had good things to say about Miami, so we'll see, and that's kind of how he's approaching it. There's certainly other schools that are recruiting him harder and that he's been to and things like that. But certainly, Miami is essentially, in a way, has a chance, it sounds like. But we'll see if he's actually able to get down to campus there. The other quarterback, Keegan Croucher, a guy that's been to Miami recently and had a chance to talk with him. And I know we just did an update on him, but, just watching him, just want to kind of get his thoughts. He didn't have a great performance in the game. 6 for 13, the 82 yards, the touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions, including one that was returned 100 yards for a touchdown by John Meredith, a big-time corner prospect. But, just kind of getting Keegan's thoughts, and he said it was great. It was great being able to compete, get some coaching from Jeff Blake out here from the quarterback position. It was good seeing Jeff. He was a guy certainly I remember watching when I was younger and when he was playing, in college and obviously with the Bengals. So good to see these guys kind of come back and kind of help out the younger players. But Keegan, overall, he was really happy with the experience, really enjoyed it. Another guy that really enjoyed his experience was wide receiver Brilen Kle. And I want to make sure I get his name right because I asked him about it because it was said different ways over on the broadcast, on the PA announcement. But he said his goal, is to make sure everybody knows how to say his name. Again, it's Kle. It looks like Calais or Khalees, but the S is silent. So, but anyways, his game was loud, regardless if they got his name wrong. And I do think it's very important for everybody to get names correct, especially when we say them. I try to make a point to get it correct. But Brilen was great. He's a guy that camped at Miami last summer. He says he talks to KB quite a bit. He likes what they're bringing to the table from an offensive standpoint. And then today just made a lot of plays, and he said he had a lot of fun, making plays and he's celebrating when he scored touchdowns and had those big catches. So he was a lot of fun to watch and certainly a really good wide receiver. And there were a number of good wide receivers out here. And just a few other names I want to touch on before I wrap this up and get out here. Obviously, everyone is kind of leaving the stadium here, but Grant Havlin out of Milton, Georgia. Luke Nichols, tight end last year. They played together. I had a chance to watch Grant out of practice when I was up there to watch Luke out of practice there in Georgia. And Grant did well. He's a young tight end that's been a lot of places over the last year, during the last 6 months, essentially going to a lot of schools, visiting a lot of places. He visited Miami. They're in the mix. A lot of schools are in the mix for this guy. I think he could have a big junior year. So I think his development, I'm really excited to see how he continues to develop, but he made a nice touchdown grab kind of here in the end zone, kind of right behind me. So he was good to talk to. And just to wrap this up with 3 defensive players that Miami likes, I thought they looked good in drills, defensive linemen, and that's Justin Weeks, a tall guy that really ran well in through drills, Chris Whitehead and Anthony Sweeney. So those 3 guys are big time guys as well. They did well in drills. But that's going to wrap everything up. Plenty of content, plenty of video, as well as articles from this event, so definitely check out the site. And just seeing Francis out here, just kind of a reminder and talking to him that the season is just around the corner. All these camps, 7-on-7 events, talking with Elijah. Havlin, kind of going back to him, you know, this is kind of it. You know, now they're going to get ready for their season. And I think a lot of guys are going to do that. You know, the visits, the camps, 7-ons, all this kind of stuff kind of wraps up. So Francis is going to get going. He's excited for fall football and his junior season and the Hurricanes. So definitely stay tuned to the site and all that stuff. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I don't want you to miss out on the videos that are coming to the channel. But thanks again for watching. Have a good rest of the weekend and take care.